continue to be advisors and continue to be supplying weapons and continue to be a destabilizing force in Congo. Which is why some of us are very skeptical. Why is the South African military in Congo not actually stopping the war in Congo, but peacekeeping and protecting companies like Glencore and the Western companies that are looting Congo?
I wanted to speak on that because when you started speaking about companies that are involved on the continent, when you speak DRC, you're speaking Dan Gertler, who does diamonds there and who's very close with, I think it's Joseph Kabila, the son of Laurent, or who was assassinated. You speak Glencore, DRC, other parts of Africa, even Libya, I think you mentioned. Glencore, I stand to be corrected, also funded the supposed rebel armies there. It's scary.
It's scary
for me. Two things. Since you spoke about Julius being a pacifier for the young black South African who's angry. Julius claims to be a Pan-Africanist. He wants to remove the borders. Do you not support that, number one? And then number two, I guess it's going to lead to another question about borders in general. Your thoughts around Nhlanhla Lux, who was the reason why you were actually bashing me, because I did an interview with him and DJ Sbu, and you were very unhappy with the fact that I was chilling with him, and he's become a mate of mine now.
With Julius, the issue, he's not a Pan-Africanist, he's an opportunist. And you were saying that there were times when we used to make videos that used to inspire people like you.
Yeah.
And I was one of the first Pan-Africanists to start really bringing out this issue of African unity and what it is that the book that was written by Kwame Nkrumah, which is the neocolonialism, the last legs of colonialism, was actually talking about why we need to unite. Julius never spoke about that at any point before people like me started speaking about it.
Sure.
And so he was opportunistically groomed to start talking about that so that he could take the position of revolutionary in South Africa and Africa to shut out other voices that speak like that. How do I know this? Because when I began to make those videos, I used to have videos that would hit 100,000 easily. 200,000, 300,000, 500,000 at that time.
And that's besides being shared on other platforms.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what started to happen is the moment I started making those videos, I got shut down by Facebook, by Twitter, and every platform.
Welcome to my life.
They shut me down. People can't see my videos. People can't find me. And worse still, when other Pan-Africanists would come and ask me to come on their shows like what you have done, immediately after I've come there and we've spoken on the issues that I speak about, they would have their pages unpublished and removed.
Sure.
And then they began to realize there was a problem. But when Julius began to talk Pan-Africanism, they never did that to him.
Yeah.
In fact, the South African media, which is white-owned, which is controlled by the Ruperts, which is controlled by the Oppenheimers, gave him so much platform to speak. Social media gives him so much platform to speak. His pages are never muzzled. His Twitter page is never muzzled. Go to my Twitter page. You'll see that 60% of the people can't even see my post because they'll see that it's written sensitive content.
It's called shadow banning.
Shadow banning.
Yeah.
They've never shadow banned Julius. Now, if you remember South African history, PAC, they shadow banned. In fact, they actually got to point of banning outright Mangaliso. Till today, Sobukwe's voice cannot be heard. It has been blackwashed by even the ANC.
Yes, the ANC doesn't give him much homage. A lot of kids don't even know who that is.
Biko was killed.
And he was the only prisoner that was isolated, I believe, on Robben Island.
And
that's how dangerous they believed he was.
He's the only man who they made a specific law to keep him in prison even when his time was up. Julius would be treated like that if he was a threat. Julius's corruption charges would have been investigated and he would have been found guilty by courts of this country that are compromised.
Sure.
But it never happened. I got to a point where I'm muzzled by the biggest billionaire in Zimbabwe for what I say. Julius has never been muzzled by anybody.
Who's the biggest billionaire? Strive?
No names. But the biggest billionaire in my country came to South African courts to get a gag order for me. When you are a threat to the system, they treat you like that.
Sure.
When they love you the way they love Julius, when he goes to see the Queen, When there are allegations that Julius actually got given money by the Queen and it was cleared by the Reserve Bank of South Africa that blocks any other monies that come to any other person that they don't approve of, which apparently was one of the major reasons he fell out with Winnie Mandela, is that he got this money, didn't share it with Winnie, didn't tell Winnie about it. This is when you realize that Julius is compromised. He's not a Pan-African. He's not out for the struggle. And lastly, anybody with Pan-African credentials understands that the proxy war for Pan-Africa, especially the soft war, is being fought in Zimbabwe. Reason Zimbabwe is under sanctions, reason the United States declared 3 national emergencies against a small little country like Zimbabwe and declared it a threat, is because Zimbabwe has taken land